It's 2 o'clock in the morning, but the idea has popped up. It's about the Jensen Huang's altruistic view and scientific view of how the world can change with his effort with NVIDIA. Engineering approach, you might call it, or scientific approach. I think that's wonderful. But I'm also reflecting on the other side, which is before getting there are lots of suffering. And as much as we have had in the past in religions, especially from my point of view, Zen Buddhism and Shin Buddhism, to go through this process for us to be, say, enlightened. So those two, one is the spiritual path, the other one is, if I call it, engineering path or scientific path. I see both of them, or either of them, are trying to get to the ultimate civilization, let's say. And I like to call it like a nirvana-like process or the way of living. And if I can explain it, maybe as I explain, I may be able to clarify my mind. Let me start to talk about being young, like a kid. At the end, when you are creative and not constrained in your mind, in the society's rule and the burden to live, you can be very creative and have fun. In that state, you don't have much of a burden to do anything. You just go with the flow because parents take care of things. And supposedly, these days it may be getting less and less. But my experience of younger days, without much burden of the paying the tax and working on all that, you are very creative, and that's almost like a nirvanic experience that I find. In my case, I've gone through the spiritual path, also engineering, but on the spiritual side of the path, I went into Zen and Shin Buddhism. And if you look at the situation there, and also traditionally, from, let's say, from Buddha went out of the society and civilization, so to speak. So he didn't work much, but bare minimum. And ascenic life, I don't know the word, that the very strict life of away from the society and controlling your desire, but be happy in the sense that you don't have a burden and be involved in the difficulty in the society, and just like a hippie, so to speak, but very disciplined for the purpose of the spirituality and enlightenment. And he achieved that. He didn't go and become engineer or manager or king, although he could become a king, but he didn't, because he didn't see a future in there for him to contribute. Also tied to his interest in spirituality and related to human suffering, and came up with his idea of enlightenment, and that led to people to go into Zen and Shin Buddhism. My experience in that direction is such that, as I mentioned, I feel I become more like a kid. What does that mean? No burden, society's responsibility. I mean, I have it, and you go through the tax filing and all the bureaucratic process, and living in the society is is not easy because you have to arrange things and plan this and that, and there's lots of mishaps or difficulties even with the convenience of the internet, and you get to see all the problem in the world. So you are kind of like off from the path of being in the society, if I may call that. It may be a jump to say it, but as kids, you're not totally engaged, but have your liberated sense of free, being like a kid. Forget about responsibility, but just focus on spirituality and be happy given the condition. You still have the relationship with the society. So, like in my case, I would contribute whatever I have, my net worth, money, into vipassana. That's my idea, 90% of it, because with the experience of knowing ourselves enlightened or close to be enlightened and have a simple life, it's very healthy. Like a kid being taken care by parents, although in this case by minimalist idea, so you don't need to work as much, but be true to yourself and make a living. And I think that's wonderful. And the Shin Buddhism and the people like Myokoni had the same sense, and they had the compassionate feeling about sharing and helping. Zen is more of a wisdom, ideas, creativity. So it has some implication to help the society um, by providing means for us to be enlightened and yet not leave the society, because most of us are not like monks. So you try to be like a minimalist, to be basic life and have a mind clear, like a children, creative, and into the zone, like playfulness and yet compassionate and wisdom sense comes with it. So you have a connection to the society, you contribute with that. So that's a bodhisattva's idea for Shin and also Zen Buddhism. So that's what I've been interested. On the other hand, I was interested from my younger days to be like a scientist or engineer. And I'm not going to go into detail, but getting into the nuclear to help the future of the energy need, into the Fukushima safety analysis and all of that. But it was a long way out, but I thought I could dedicate and contribute to the society. And that was wonderful. But then, thinking of the effort and the difficulties and the bureaucracies and whatever comes and what's my role in that process to be effective, efficient, to make some impact. That was the idea that I had, even influenced by like a Thomas Alva Edison. You do something you like and you help the society. That's another path without getting into the spiritual path. But in my case, I saw the path to be long and difficult, and there are lots of cumbersome issues to deal with the regulation and the society's hierarchy or in the company to find the way. So I tried to find some passage in that. I wrote books about waste elimination and empowerment leadership, meaning company idea, and even result from the heart, so that that work on the society's side can be combined with the spiritual end of it. That's how it happened for me to spend my time from engineering to business to psychological and the spiritual end of it, and type together. Now almost 76, that I'm looking at the whole situation overall and reflecting on what I have done. But like yesterday's view that I found from Jun, um, Jensen Young and Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, the story is just fascinating. So compared to what I have done, what he is doing as a CEO with a bunch of brilliant people who are excited in what they do, is to prepare ways so that basically eliminate cumbersome issues and whatever the process that he can find the ways or even entertainment so that we have some view of how to express our brain potential. So the one spiritual side is the heart potential, but his case is the brain potential, but also connected to the heart, which is a difficult thing to do. Because like I said, in my case, I worked in nuclear and, there are issues there. And if you keep doing all the stuff, there's lots of red tapes and organizational issues and the limitations. But one way was to combine with the heart brought into that process. That's what I did. In his case, it was more of a continuing to the engineering path with the altruistic vision of contributing to society. And it turned out, or maybe he had the idea, and he thought about the future, what's important is to do this, and this is a way and how to prepare it. And he found a way to make this company to $2 trillion of market cap in the industry, and there are 30,000 or so people energized to make things happen. And the way he does it, and his group does it, is to look at the future potential of what society, human being can be, and find the process to prepare for that to happen, so that whether it's a medical or entertainment or any things that we may do through business, using the computer and the chip that is so powerful, it's like adding the brain into the society by the chip, technology, engineering solution, so that on one hand is the path of what I said, the spiritual one, that is to get out of the society and focus on yourself. But he went to not focusing himself, but himself involved in the process of the human civilization and how the society can function through his company, the work, chip technology connected to, as if to bring the brain into process of technology to help the brain. In other words, offload the issues that is creating the bureaucracy and difficulties and so forth. If he can find the technology to make the process easy by the chip, how the computer can help, to me it's like an additional brain instead of what we got. The technology gonna take care of the brain function, so that the process of progression into the even AI is helping. And because of him, his company providing a platform to provide those technologies for people to be efficient and effective in running the company, focusing on coming up with the drugs for the medical or any bureaucratic issues to be resolved by the chip and the software. And he's providing the foundation platform. The software is add-on, but projecting what can happen with the software approach, but providing this critical technology to bring out sort of like a mini brains for each industry, for medical or entertainment or anything, company management, cutting the overhead or streamlining the logistics. There are many approaches. It's kind of like a mini brain, not in the sense of a generic brain to how to deal with the technological improvement, but providing the platform for those technologies and brain to function at the core level of the processing of the information in the computer chip. That's what he's doing. And that's his vision. So it's a long story, but if I summarize, one is a spiritual path, given the situation, what you can do. The other one is the engineering path at the fundamental level of how to process information effectively with the hardware and a computer chip in specific application of the needs of the industry and the society to have those software and the people to work with in a very productive manner. So those two are aiming the same, which is, in my view, to help the society to overcome difficulties and inconvenience and the worries and the health issues and the problems, hurdles, spiritually or engineering-based approach, like in the case of Jensen Huang, by providing the technology, the basis, so that the information can be processed much faster and high quality to be used in a different setting. So, long story, I spent 70 minutes on up to here. But the point is, I really appreciate Jensen Huang, not the individualized, but the thought, ideas, and the company platform provide and have that future vision, what is feasible and what's really important, and bring back that thought of what can be done to provide what we can do, the technology, to make that happen. I'm saying that's admirable. And sort of reflect my early age of working in the engineering field to the higher level of that process, at the deeper level of the thinking and approaches, and have that as a big challenge. So change the society and help us. And ultimately, if there's a big if there, if that helps advance the society, and if we manage well, that's another if, then we can be having a free, childlike experience of benefiting from the technology and the software and the approaches, and be able to experience life without bureaucracy, without cumbersome issues, but be happy by not wasting time and energy, but have free time to appreciate life. Now, having said that much, the last part is little doubt I came up, which is, of course, the timing to take for that approach that he's providing, which is wonderful, and the technology that accelerating so fast, so that I know that can help. Yet the question mark is that two-edged sword idea, which is that's wonderful tools, but that can be abused. That issue I'm not sure how Jensen Huang can uh, provide the way to assure that that happens. So that requires a governance model. He's providing the platform, but how to use that is the governance, meaning the management, say from the Congress and the people. And that technology can be abused. His idea, the altruistic, and there's always a danger of technology being abused, like in the case of the atomic bomb. So it's beautiful idea what can happen. It's a huge potential we have as human to be, I don't know if that's the right way, to be like a childlike, that you don't have to do lots of bureaucratic nonsense and then explore happy life, awakened life. All I say at the end to capture what I feel. On one hand, I thought was wonderful, the direction and the people involved to have the platform and the technologies to help more advancement, much more accelerated. Now there's a danger that he cannot solve. So I think, like I did in my case, not to brag or anything, there's an issue that we can work to reduce the bureaucracy, the technology, and all that. But then we have to have the view of enlightened life, like from the Shin and the Zen Buddhism point of view, to be really happy. Not because we have everything we got, we are happy because of technology. Yes, it may be so, but as much as the kids with lots of technology to play with, we may need a governance, we may need a vision, we may need a way for us to be still wise so that we don't abuse the technology for wrong reason. So I think I'm coming back to the same kind of idea, although my approach has been more limited, but coming from engineering and shifting more toward the altruistic notion of the empowerment and the self-management and to the point of happy life through spirituality, this technological approach and the great vision that he is sharing and providing all the approaches, which is lots of companies, not just NVIDIA, but Microsoft and Google's and Meta and others are doing, we still need to have this managerial aspect or thought leading, ideal idea that we want to use the technologies, the benefit of what this society, the people are providing for the future. We still have to do lots of soul-searching thinking about the governance model. Otherwise, the danger will still exist, even with the idealistic situation of technology, for the technologies to be abused. So maybe that's the answer I was wondering about the impact of this technology for our future and have the happy life, which also we may want to have while we are living in this huge transient, changing environment in life. Just a thought.